I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Tuesday.
A lot of switching going on in politics. You're in a race. I'm in a race. We're in a race.
Everybody's running
Yes.
for governor, it seems like.
Everybody.
Some guys are switching their roles in that. Mark Baisley now running for U.S. Senate. He was running for governor. He announced yesterday. By the way, he's a current state senator and represents the kind of just south of Douglas County area, and is now switching over and running for U.S. Senate. He wants to challenge John Hickenlooper. We're going to talk to him about this decision coming up here in just a moment. Then we're going to be joined by Greg Lopez in the 9 o'clock hour. Greg has switched party affiliations. Once a Republican. Earlier than that, he was a Democrat. He was a Democrat, then became a Republican, served in Congress as a Republican, now an independent. Is this good for Colorado? Could he win? Or is this just going to split the ticket and hand it to Michael Bennet or Phil Weiser? What do you think of his move? We'll talk all of this coming up. Now, though, is time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. It's Tuesday, 33 and clear in Denver as you listen to Jeff and Billy, expecting a high of 58 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, investigators looking into the cause of a deadly weekend fire at a Boulder 55-plus housing facility. First responders were called to the building in the 4800 block of Baseline Road just before midnight on Sunday. A man was located in a unit in the building and died at the scene. No other injuries reported.
Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States, and he's not going to be doing it very long.
There's 47. Is Colombia next, or is DJT just keeping everyone on their toes? Delcy Rodriguez is Venezuela's new president. The former vice president was sworn in Monday after the U.S. captured and removed dictator Maduro to face criminal charges in New York. Rodriguez, an ally of Maduro, condemned the U.S. military action and referred to Maduro and his wife as heroes being held hostage. She's programmed. She has to say that, honestly. Meanwhile, Venezuelans are ecstatic in their country and also on the East Coast, especially in New York and Florida. Stephen Miller with Jake Tapper.
We're not going to let Tin Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country, send drugs into our country, send weapons into our country.
Okay.
And we're not going to let a country fall into the hands of our adversaries.
And Susan Kokinda, with, to me, the best part of this story, taking Maduro is actually attacking our biggest foe, oligarchs, the criminals who've been working with drug trafficking dictators.
So on behalf of all sovereign nations, Trump has taken the fight directly to those institutions, both the so-called legitimate ones like USAID, the NGOs, the nonprofits, the universities, and the illegitimate side, the cartels, the criminal empires, and their financiers. We're no longer playing by the rules of the rules-based order.
And to attack the deep state, we have to start with the oligarchs and all the offshore money. CPW says a mountain trail is open again in Larimer County after the deadly mountain lion attack last week, but hikers are advised to exercise caution. Kristen Kovac was the victim of the fatal attack. Wildlife officers euthanized 2 mountain lions believed to be connected to the incident and ended a multi-day search for a third animal. It was the first deadly mountain lion attack reported in the state since the late 90s. Nuggets over the Sixers last night, 125-124. The Avs in Tampa tonight take on the Lightning. Exciting Division I FCS Football Championship Subdivision National Championship game last night between Illinois State and Montana State. Montana State in overtime had to kick the extra point for the win.
Miles Sandstead. Snap, hold, kick. Up, good! For a national championship!
Yeah, the little guys!
The little guy hits again.
Gets the win. That's why we love it.
I don't mind the extra points. Let's just quit the field goals, okay? Let's stop. Play football. 32 in Arvada, 31 in Lone Tree, 33 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Billy and the fan of field goals and everything kicking. Jeff and Billy, actually. It's Tuesday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast. Fair skies starting off our Tuesday with morning temps in the lower 30s. With sunny skies and breezy winds tomorrow, highs will be in the upper 50s. Lows lower to mid-30s for Tuesday night, keeping those skies fair. Wednesday, mid-50s with sunshine, then increasing clouds Wednesday night. By Thursday, some morning rain showers will mix with, then change over to snow as temps fall from the 40s. Overnight lows Thursday night, lower 20s with snow showers lingering. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
A big shakeup in the run for governor in Colorado that's affecting now the run for Senate. Mark Baisley, currently a state senator here, was running for governor of Colorado, made the announcement yesterday. He's now switched over, is challenging John Hickenlooper for the Senate seat. He joins us now, Senator Baisley. Thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Bill. Great to join you guys. Hey, what is this? I thought it was radio, but now we got some video going on at the same time. That's new to me.
Oh yeah, we're mixing it all together, baby. We're out there on the social webs as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. I hear there's this newfangled invention. It's a little box you can bring into your home, and then you can see the pictures played right there.
No,
it's like, yeah, I know. It's great that we're now living in the future here in 2026, Senator Baisley. Welcome.
Glad to have you with us. Tell us all about the announcement you made yesterday.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I have made the switch from pursuing the governor's office for the state of Colorado to United States Senate. So, playing the role that I've been playing, except on a much bigger stage, of course. So, yeah, I've been serving in the state legislature for 7 years, the last 3 in the state Senate, and so, yeah, pursuing U.S. Senate instead. And it was obviously not just one of those snap decisions you make. In fact, it was more like a year and a half in the making. So when I very first decided that I was going to, out of sense of duty, really pursue the governor's office, I shared that with my lifelong advisor and closest friend and wife and high school sweetheart, Marianne, and she gave me her intuition right away. A year and a half ago, says, "No, you're supposed to be running for U.S. Senate." Anyway, so but I being the typical guy that I am, I just responded to all the urging from especially the high-tech industry to pursue the governor's race. But as you know, there's 20 some odd choices for governor right now. There were not a lot of choices for U.S. Senate. So what really kind of sparked the thought was when I saw my colleague Julie Gonzalez, the most radical state senator in Colorado, challenge Hickenlooper for the primary race. And I thought, wow, he's challengeable. So I talked with some of my Democrat friends, and they said, yeah, we're going to consider Julie. Hickenlooper's not looking all that attractive to us these days, which shocked me, frankly, but it just made me think, well, maybe that's where I ought to go. So after much thought and prayer and conversation with my own staff urged me strongly to make the switch. So here we are, and the support is overwhelming for this new run.
Well, when you talk about being attractive or John Hickenlooper not being attractive, it is difficult at that age to be attractive. He's old. John Hickenlooper's really old. And that's part of the concern the Democrats have. He's going to be in his 80s if he gets reelected. So is it time for...
That's what they told me.
Yeah. I mean, is it time for fresh blood there? Just he's spent... I mean, look, I think this is kind of Colorado's untold story. The impact that Michael Bennet and John Hickenlooper have had on the state. They've been around combined for 40 years directing the state. From the mayor's office, Bennett was Hickenlooper's chief of staff when Hickenlooper was back in the mayor's office. Then you get 2 full terms of the governor's office. Now he's a U.S. senator. I mean, Colorado is John Hickenlooper's vision. And according to most polls, people aren't happy with the direction of Colorado. Your response, sir?
Yeah, well, neither am I. And we need a voice in the United States Senate. We have a voice in the United States House of Representatives, our Congress folks, and that's part of the encouragement for me is that of the 8 members of Congress that we send from Colorado, 4 of them are Republicans. And by the way, all 4 of them I've spoken with, and all 4 of them are supportive of my doing this. I've yet to get written endorsement, so I don't want to make a statement that's not accurate there, but I believe that I will have their written endorsements, all 4 of them. But I've been in conversation with all 4 of them. They're all very excited that I'm doing this, and they're calling me the first viable candidate in that race. And yeah, we do need. I mean, look at who we are as Colorado. Not only do we have the vastness of the mountains, the rivers, and all the great things that are outdoor Colorado, but also we have phenomenal industry here, including aerospace, defense, the intelligence community. We have the quantum computing and AI, and even the Sundance Festival. But how does that relate to Washington? Well, a lot of decisions are made in Washington about where to place what where, including Space Command. So we lost Space Command, and no thanks in part to our senatorial delegation in Washington who did not go to bat to fight for it. And I learned that from our congressional members who told me that just this past week. So we need someone who's going to represent who we are as Colorado in Washington, D.C., so I intend to be that voice.
That's Mark Baisley. He's running for U.S. Senate. He's running for the Republican nomination first, challenging John Hickenlooper. So John's been mayor, governor, now senator, 20-plus years, public service. What do you think his appeal is? Why does he keep winning? How do you address that? How do you attack that and get, for the first time in his career, an election loss against John Hickenlooper?
You know, he's always had that aw shucks kind of an image, which is a good image for Colorado. But listen to what he's been saying lately. He's been talking about the victimization. Woe is us in Colorado for all the orange man things that are happening, and it's just all that whininess is unappealing. Certainly unappealing to me, especially right in the middle of an American Renaissance. I mean, the entire nation is running forward in a cleaning house manner that's on an international stage, of course, but just for ourselves, the America First trend is a very good one that cleans things up for us, that makes business, our competitive nature internally more natural and very good, and just the whole pursuit of natural law, frankly, getting back to our national founding roots, which are just really healthy. And so the contrast between whining about that and pursuing it and joining and partnering with it, taking advantage of all of the great things coming down the pike right now for the state of Colorado, that's where we need to be. We need to stop the whining and let's get on board and be a partner with the rest of the nation, which is in a really healthy place right now, I think.
That is Senator Mark Baisley, state senator, wanting to be our senator to Congress, taking over John Hickenlooper's seat. He's switched from running for the office of governor to now running for senator, which we are excited about. And thanks for joining us this morning on Jeff and Bill. Now, I think that Jeff, he's the political strategist of the two of us, and I think he's got something there about the idea of this long-term political continuity between Hickenlooper and Bennett. I think personally there is some hay to be made there for your candidacy. The idea of going through failures of previous Hickenlooper administrations. Some of the text messages, of course, bring up the idea of Nathan Dunlap and going from death sentence to life in prison. Another person brought up the idea of Denver's road home. So I think there may be a way for you to look at and frame John Hickenlooper as decades of failure, where you can point to some of your successes. And I think that then this is where I'm going with the question on this one, Senator Baisley. How do you define yourself and get elected statewide in what is a blended state? We are necessarily a liberal state at this point, but rural is conservative. The population centers appear to be liberal. You've got to win a statewide race, and right now I submit that the one largest advantage that Hickenlooper has is I dislike Orange Man. He's a no guy on Trump, and the state was a no-go on Trump. How do you navigate that political minefield of appealing to just enough of the liberals that you need in those population centers while not losing the people in the rural centers that can put you in that Senate seat?
That is a beautiful question, and let me emphasize the point you just made about Nathan Dunlap, the Chuck E. Cheese murderer who was given clemency. That was brought up to me by a constituent just yesterday. So that is very interesting. These things people remember and bothers them. But I think the answer to that is to your bigger question, which it's a great question, Billy, and that is that we have a strong identity as Coloradans. I know a lot of the folks that are listening, a lot of folks who live in Colorado are relatively new residents to Colorado, but they even would have an image of who Colorado is. So Colorado is not an agent of Washington. It's not an agent of the Trump administration. We are who we always have been in Colorado. And look at my current state Senate district. It is 8 counties, and it goes from Franktown and Douglas County all the way out to Leadville and Lake County. I get Ken Carroll Valley all the way down to West Cliff in Custer County. So it's a big swath, and I am always, since I'm just immersed in that all day, I am reminded of who Colorado is all the time. It's not just the Front Range. It is who we are as a state. We have a nature. We have an identity to us, and we need to get back to what that is and stop being who John Hickenlooper has envisioned us to be. And so, anyway, that's what I want to push for is kind of recapturing who Colorado is and where we influence Washington to come our way. It's an amazing place. Just think about it. The hundreds of thousands of high-tech jobs that we have, coupled with all the nature around us, it's a phenomenal and unique situation. And I just need to appeal, I think, to let's not be the agent of Washington, D.C., which it has become more and more. When you're a centralized government thinker like Hickenlooper is, then you just become part of a machine back there. But we need to be a partner. We need to have our voice in that.
That's Mark Baisley. He's currently a state senator, was running for governor, now running for U.S. Senate, challenging John Hickenlooper. His website, markbaisley.com. That's MarkBaisley.com. Senator, you're in a competitive primary. You're facing Janak Joshi and Sean Pond. Why are you better than those two?
I'm not better. So you know what? I called up Janak yesterday. I have not met Sean in person. We're Facebook friends, so I've yet to reach out and talk with him. But let me just say that I think I'm just better positioned, and I have the I have all the very recent scars of working in the legislature. I want to quote Bob Schaefer, who is, of course, the common, he's what we call Liberty Commons School operator up in northern Colorado. Does a phenomenal job getting awards after awards every year, being the best school in the state and so on, and now a whole series of schools that he's got going up there. But he served in Congress, of course, for a time, and he said that the best training ground for Congress is the state legislature. So he says you walk in knowing what to do. So I will have the advantage of walking in knowing what to do, even though Janik served in the House for a few years. It's been 7-8 years since he's been in the saddle there. But anyway, I'll go in knowing what to do, aside from just being invited in. So there's I was on the phone with Washington folks just yesterday, and there's like a whole path being paved. It's being prepped. So I just feel like I'm suited for the job. I've worked quite a bit in industry in Colorado, supporting industry and Colorado's education system, having set up a STEM school and in Colorado, and working quite a bit with our university systems and how they relate to industry. So building those partnerships. In fact, I'll brag 2 awards, Legislator of the Year from Metro State Denver and Legislator of the Year from the University of Colorado. So I'm just plugged in, I think, a lot better and positioned better than everybody else that's joining me for this race.
That's Mark Baisley. Mark, we're getting questions, text messages coming in. Gabe wants to know, bottom line, boil it down, how are you going to make my life better?
Less government. So there'll be less intrusion, if you ask me, and we will narrow the gap between what people make versus what it costs them to pay for their living. So I aim to focus on cost of living and try to help people get into homes. The youth, especially, they're seeing the American dream fleeting, but now I want to get the government out of their lives and out of their involvement in their medical care, out of involvement in between them and their parents and their children, as happens all the time. Let's get government the heck out and cost you less, so that you can have pursue the laws of nature and of nature's God to make a good living for yourself.
Mark Baisley, now you have moved over. You're running for U.S. Senate. Are you endorsing anybody in the governor's race?
I am not. No, there are some fine choices, and in fact, part of my decision, I thought that I was an excellent candidate prospect for governor, but I didn't think that I was the only good candidate for governor. So as I step away from that, I just trust what the electorate's going to come up with. And I certainly hope that it's a Republican, but there are some really fine choices I'm not going to endorse.
But, I mean, in some cases, you've worked directly with folks like Barb Kirkmeyer. You guys are colleagues in the Senate. Why not endorse her?
I just don't want to put my thumb on that scale. I frankly like the system that we have, the whole caucus assembly, primary, general election. It's a really good narrowing of the field. I mean, that's what we're seeing now, right? With Greg Lopez and myself stepping out, and it's a whole narrowing of the field, and it will happen amongst the patriots first, and then to the more general folks in the primary and so on. I think I should just let that system play because it works well.
Do you consider Greg Lopez splitting the vote at this point?
Well, yes. I think that was not a good move on Greg's part for himself personally, professionally, but for the party also. However, I don't know exactly what the rules are, but for him to get on the ballot, I think he's got to collect an enormous amount of petition signatures. So I'm not so sure that we'll see him on a ballot anyway.
Well, we're going to talk with him during the 9 o'clock hour. Greg Lopez, a former Republican member of Congress, now switching over to an independent, unaffiliated, and running for governor. Well, Mark Baisley joining us. He's switched from the governor's race to now the U.S. Senate race, challenging John Hickenlooper or possibly Julie Gonzalez. And I want to ask you just about that briefly, because it seems like the Democrat Party is where the split's happening. We often talk about Republicans. Republicans naturally fight. I tell people, you get any group of conservatives together, whether it's Second Amendment conservatives or pro-life conservatives, and there's battles over policy and all that stuff. But it doesn't seem like that happens too often with Democrats. But because Colorado's getting so progressive, in my mind, they see it as something they have to move towards. They've got to embrace the Bernie Sanders AOC wing. That's where the Democrat base is going. I went to the Bernie Sanders rally. 30,000 people showed up. Magellan Strategies poll shows AOC is the most lauded politician out there among Democrats right now. So Hickenlooper's got that challenge from the Julie Gonzalez wing of the party and the Democrat Socialists. We've had Deep Singh Badesha on the show to talk about that. Do you think Hickenlooper survives the primary? Do you think Julie Gonzalez could possibly win this, and we're going to face now a Democrat socialist on the ticket?
Boy, I don't think we've gone so far as New York to elect a Mamdani, but this is such a fascinating thing to watch. So your question is, do I think that the Democrats would nominate Julie Gonzalez? My initial response would be, no, of course not. John Hickenlooper's the biggest name in politics in Colorado, so overcoming that would be. However, the hard left wing of the Democrats, they don't think like I do, and like I know you do. So they just might select Julie. They would certainly. She will certainly gain a lot of momentum and take away a lot of votes and expend a whole lot of John Hickenlooper's energies and treasure that he's got built up right now to defend his place there. I don't think Colorado is that far. I should say in the numbers. There certainly are the Mamdani, AOC, and Julie Gonzalez wing, and I see it in the state legislature. So Senator Gonzalez certainly wields quite a bit of power there, but it's not the majority of the Democrats there. But she certainly has a lot of sway. So I think it's really going to mess up the hair of the Democrat Party over the next few months, all the way through to the end of June, and that's certainly to our advantage. But I think John Hickenlooper comes through it in the end. But I think he will have revealed either his real left-wing bona fides, or he will have separated himself, divided himself from a lot of the Democrat base, and I will take advantage of that.
That's Mark Baisley. He's running for U.S. Senate, challenging John Hickenlooper. You can learn more about Mark at markbaisley.com. That's MarkBaisley.com. Good friend of the show. Always great to see you, Senator. Thank you for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Bill. Let's do it again soon.
Mark Baisley, again, running for Senate, challenging John Hickenlooper, MarkBaisley.com. What do you think of Mark Baisley's shift here? Changing over from governor. Is that a wise shift to stop running in a very crowded Republican primary, shift over to where it's less crowded? He's going to be likely on the ballot, facing right now Janak Joshi or Sean Pond. We don't know how that's all going to work out, but Baisley's a well-known name, and now kind of takes him from middle of the pack in a very crowded primary to, I'd say, lead in a less crowded primary. Still a statewide race. Big battle against John Hickenlooper. So a few questions for our listeners. This is what I'd love to hear from you. Does Baisley have a shot against Hickenlooper? I mean, Hickenlooper and Bennett are political dynasties at this point. I don't think they've ever lost a race. And they've served in just about every capacity you can in Colorado. So Colorado is the result of John Hickenlooper and Michael Bennett. Does Mark Baisley have a shot challenging Hickenlooper in the state? Is he just too old? Is it time to change things up? Or are we so blue that this is probably, it's nice, but it's never really going to happen? What do you think? Secondly, do you think it was wise for Baisley to move over? Right? Because politics oftentimes isn't just winning races, it's finding races you can win.
Yeah.
And I don't fault people for changing things midway through, right? It's you're evaluating the field in real time. You're out there on the football field. You're trying to figure out how to score.
Yeah.
And sometimes things just change, you know?
We have a really recent example of that in our past with friend of the show, Lauren Boebert.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she made a tactical decision that turned out to be fantastic.
Or how about the guy that sat in this chair?
Yep. Yeah.
George Bronkler.
Exactly.
Right? Ran for big statewide in a blue state, wasn't able to win. Found a second life with the judicial district.
23.
23.
Yeah.
And is doing a great job.
Yeah. So there is. And so that's that question. And the other part I would love to know from the audience is, if you think Mark Baisley can win, how? What is the Achilles heel that you feel no one has been able to exploit with Hickenlooper so far? What is it that you can give him as an albatross around his neck that will drag him down in the eyes of voters? Is it just what Jeff has said, the idea of Hickenlooper at this point being a Colorado political dynasty, and what can you point to that he's made better in your life versus the number of broken promises that he failed to deliver on? Is that going to be good enough? Not a question. I don't know.
Text message just hot on this one. Breadman saying we should investigate domestic violence issues with Hickenlooper. I don't know anything about that.
There were some allegations and things, earlier, but is it going to be enough that, again, that the 80-year-old guy that we're like, oh, and again, when is the relevancy and the recency of that happening? And so does that matter?
8422 texted in. Can either of you name two things John Hickenlooper has done that were positive for the state of Colorado? I can't.
Give me a few minutes. I'd have to pull it, but I can't. I mean, that's the thing. It's not. You don't have anything that you can point to right off the top of your head, other than the fact that he has continued to win elections and move from office to office around the state.
Yep.
The state didn't necessarily burst into flames when he was in the governor's mansion, but it's not as if we are celebrating the great Colorado century that he ushered in.
But here's what I find fascinating, Billy. When I moved back to Colorado, so I left in 2000, went to college in California, grad school in California, moved to D.C., went to grad school in D.C., spent 6 years in both those places. So I came back about 12 years later, 2012, okay? I came back at peak, like, microbrew world, right? I remember when Hickenlooper was mayor, and here was this guy that had this microbrew, and then you had all these microbreweries everywhere, and Kyle Clark's out grabbing a beer with people, and like it was like peak microbrew world.
Yeah.
Now they're all shutting down, and that
the market's
moment,
changed.
that moment of leadership in the state has passed on. I don't think Colorado really has an identity right now. It kind of falls back on, well, we're a ski town, we're an outdoors town, that type of thing. But it seems to me that microbrew bro world has completely gone. I don't know.
That whole microbrew thing has reached its peak, and it's now more or less finding its level. There are a lot of breweries around town that are closing down, and one of the things, again, because I spend some of my free time getting paid to stand in bars and run my mouth, one of the things that has become difficult is that the consumer is not looking for those tap rooms anymore. They're not looking for a location where you walk in and they've got 30 things on tap. They're looking for a place that is more specialized and feels less like a larger warehouse and more like a neighborhood pub. They're going back to that. In fact,
interesting.
The pub with food seems to be the new trend right now. So basically, we're completing the entire cycle. So where we were when we started the microbrew trend, that seems to be where the cycle is going back to at this point.
Faith, the history teacher, texting in, as a Democrat, I'm absolutely fatigued of Hickenlooper, but there's no way a Republican will win statewide election. I'd rather vote for any other Democrat at this point, but I think we all know a Republican winning the state is a losing proposition.
Now, that's interesting with Faith, the history teacher, because I want to put a pin in that one and bring it back later on when Greg Lopez joins us, because is the reason that he's moving to an independent exactly what Faith, the history teacher, who is a Democrat, said? She doesn't think a Republican can win statewide.
Faith, would you vote for an independent like Greg Lopez?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Text in, let me know.
Could you?
Westy Carlos, Hickenlooper's done. Julie Gonzalez will replace him. No appetite for career politicians. All right, Democrats. I want to hear from Democrat primary voters or independents that are going to vote in the Democrat primary, because you can only vote in one. Is Hickenlooper done? Are you looking for someone more progressive like Julie Gonzalez, a Democrat socialist? I'd love to hear from you. And then if you're an independent or Republican out there, is Mark Baisley your guy to challenge the Democrat? Do you think Mark can win statewide? Here's the phone number. Give us a call and join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710, KNUS.
This is another band I could be a tribute band in because the drummer's so good in this.
Oh, yeah. Carter Beaufort's amazing.
I think he's one of the best drummers ever.
Oh, yeah. He is. He is one of the best drummers out there. Low key.
And he looks like he's going out to engage in athletic competition.
Oh, yeah, because what he's done is, and here's, okay, because I'm a huge Dave Matthews fan. We haven't talked a lot about this on the show. The band I have seen more live than anyone else, Dave Matthews.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, by far. Not
is
even
it
close.
good live? I don't really go to concerts.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely
better than
unbelievable.
T Swift.
Yes, 110%. Because, and this is why, Taylor Swift...
Sorry to hurt your feelings.
No. Taylor Swift is a performance based on an expected stage and musical show, where Dave Matthews is a presentation of live music. And they're different. And you have to know that when you're walking into certain concerts. Certain concerts, it's going to be the same show that you're going to see in Denver, that you're going to see in Salt Lake City, that you're going to see in Vegas, that you're going to see in LA, that you're going to see in Mar-a-Lago, wherever you're going. You're going to see the same show because that's how it's been presented. With Dave Matthews, they don't drop the set list until about 45 minutes before showtime. Dave sits down, draws up the set list, goes to all the band members, and then they make changes. And like, okay, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. Okay, so every single night, it is a different set. I saw them 4 nights in a row during the Katrina issue up at Red Rocks. They played 4 nights in a row. They only repeated one song over the course of those 4 nights. Every single night is unique. That's what you get with them, and it's 3 hours plus. If you like some of the energy and live performance of someone like a Bruce Springsteen, the Dave Matthews Band is right up your alley because Dave is the worst musician in the entire group. He is the worst, and he says that. Everybody else is phenomenal. As you pointed out, Carter Beaufort, one of the best drummers on the planet. Right. Their bassist, Stefan Lassard, was a prodigy. Joined the band when he was 15.
Wow.
And it was his music teacher that said, you got to talk to this kid. And they go, kid? And he goes, just bring him into the rehearsal studio. They brought him in for one rehearsal, and they go, okay, our next gig is coming up here, and you're going to join us here, and we got to get you in because it's a bar. And he goes, okay. So we started playing at 15 with them. He is incredible. Yeah, they are amazing performers.
So we just wrapped up an interview with Mark Baisley. Mark has switched over running from running for the Republican nomination for governor to running for the Republican nomination for Senate. And one of the questions we asked Faith, the history teacher, would she ever vote for an independent? Because we're going to host Greg Lopez in the 9 o'clock hour. She said, I'd vote for an independent if their values were aligned similarly to mine. I did vote for a Republican before, Mike Kaufman being the primary example, because he was a vocal leader in my community for things that were important to me. He spoke at my school 5 times. My dad was a veteran, and it was clear to me that Kaufman cared about people like him. He didn't plant his flag on the mountain of abortion and guns. And I've seen some other posts about this, about the social issues. Here's the question I have. Okay, so clearly we disagree on the social issues. Abortion, gay marriage, guns, stuff like that. Why is that so important to Democrat voters that you're willing to sacrifice the direction of the state financially? Like, I'm talking about the Magellan poll, where people are like, my taxes are too high, the fees are too high, everything's so expensive, I don't like the services, but I'll never vote for a Republican because of abortion. Why is that such a critical issue that you're willing to allow the state to collapse under the weight of socialist, Democrat leadership? Everything's more expensive in your life. Why are the social issues so important to you that you're willing to sacrifice that?
I think there are a couple of reasons. Now, the one with abortion, I think, has to do with longevity in history. One being the time in this country when it was illegal, and we still have people that are alive that remember that and understand what the country looked like and how women were dealing with it at the time. And also the longevity of a woman that may not agree about having an abortion, but isn't going to say that I don't know what my daughter, granddaughter, great-granddaughter is going to get into. I don't know the scenario or the situation. And to take that away from them as a choice is very difficult because it's, again, that idea of the autonomy on your body. So I think that's part of the reason that you have it there.
But aren't you granting, though, that social issues are the most important issues?
No, I'm saying for that person.
Yeah,
that's
for
why.
those people, I mean, you're saying like these social issues are the most important. So you could have a Republican that delivers an incredible state financially. I mean, jobs with cost of living down, things great, crime down, everything's wonderful, but abortion. So is it the Democrats that are so committed to social issues?
Well, I would look at it the other way and say to the GOP, both sides are really committed to their social issues. And if you want to win, which side should necessarily be more amenable to letting some of those social issues go fallow? And what I mean by that, where I'm going is, if you're a Republican and you really want to win, planting your flag, as the texter said, on abortion is probably not the best strategic move in this state. Saying that part of my platform is going to be to make abortion illegal 100% of the time in Colorado is not going to be a statewide winner.
Who was that guy? Joe, it's not Joe Neguse. He was the Republican nominee for Senate. He popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he said he was essentially he was going to reinstil Roe v. Wade in the state.
Yeah.
Still lost. So, I mean, I don't know. I think the Democrats are the ones that are ultimately committed to the social issues to the point where they will sacrifice this state to kill their offspring.
I'm not convinced of that, only because if we looked at the previous cycle, and I go back to the previous governor election, in my mind, it's social issues that killed Ganal's campaign. That's what hurt her the most, is trying to fight the social issues. If she would not have done things like, yes, we've got to stop these furries in classrooms pooping in litter boxes, which she gave voice to on these airwaves and other interviews, that became problematic because it wasn't happening. And when some of the voters turn around and go, well, this isn't happening, part of it being like, and if we talk about social issues inside of the GOP, the idea of Tina Peters being a cause célèbre, that's not winning statewide. If you say that we need to do, well, no, I'm saying, but that's not necessarily an economic issue. That's more of a social thing. The idea that Tina Peters has been wrongly persecuted by those people in charge.
I think you could have a Republican that thinks Tina Peters deserves to be locked up for the rest of her life, is pro-choice, pro-gay marriage, and they'd still lose in this state.
I don't know. I'm not convinced of that because there are so many that are unaffiliated, and there are so many in the middle.
They're all libs. They're all socialist libs. I go talk to them.
I disagree because the people that I talk to most of the time that are unaffiliated end up being former Republicans. And I'm just saying most of the time. I'm not saying 90%. I'm just saying that about 55 to 60% of the independents that I talk to are unaffiliated. It's a better point. They're not independent. They're unaffiliated. Those are normally, in my conversations, former Republicans. But that's only anecdotal, and it can only be the bunch of weirdos and snake fans that I talk to. So I'm not saying that's generally representative of the rest of the state.
Snake fans. All right, let's talk advanced hair restoration. How about a simple New Year's resolution, one that even I could achieve? Reverse the clock on hair loss with Advanced Hair's simple one-day FUE treatment. You'll feel more confident and more youthful when you witness your own natural hair growing into those places that have been balding or thinning for years. From Advanced Hair's breakthrough technology to their highly experienced team, there's no one I trust more in hair restoration. Their simple FUE treatment begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day, and your new hair is backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. Simply put, Advanced Hair's exceptional standard of care makes your comfort and your results their top priority. Celebrate this new year with a fuller head of hair and get a free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. Call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR. Discover what meeting your resolution could look like with the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com. advancedhair.com. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Text messages hot. The discussion over whether or not Republicans can win statewide. Are the social issues too disastrous to Republicans to win in Colorado? What do you think? Let's go to Brian in Arvada. Good morning, Brian. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, guys. We're in this quandary again. I was telling Billy, I'm one of those unaffiliated, but I'm lean right, obviously, because the left is so far left. I can't get on board with any policy, but I'm smart enough to know that no independent's going to win, no unaffiliated's going to win ever in Colorado. So you have to choose the lesser of two evils.
Why
which
do you think
be
that is?
the
Why do you think an independent? I mean, look, the independents make up the biggest group. Why don't you think they can win a race in Colorado?
Well, unlike Billy, I think most of the unaffiliateds are left or left-leaning, and they just want to be unaffiliated to be cool, so they could say, I'm not associated with any party. But they're going to vote left the whole time. And the problem with Republicans, it's always been this way, is we run to the middle to get the moderates, and we lose the base.
Interesting. We'll continue, Brian. We're up against the break. You're listening to Jeff and